Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, what's up? Do not forget to hit like and subscribe. And as you can tell by the title of today's video, I wanted to discuss something that you might have watched a previous video somewhere on YouTube about, which is common mistakes that beginner nail techs make. I find that as a teacher, a lot of the students are making the same exact mistake. So I wanted to make a video about this so we can address some of these issues. I can put my little input on it and hopefully help you get over some of these mistakes and help speed up your applications, your process, and so on and so forth. So we're gonna get into that right now. So mistake number one, painting with your acrylic brush. We have an acrylic brush. It is not an artist brush. So when we are placing our beads on, we are not painting. A lot of techs get very heavy-handed and they're painting the acrylic away. This is a waste of product and it's actually slowing you down because you're putting your bead on the nail and you're just painting it away vigorously and roughly painting it down. Then you add more, you're doing the same thing. So we want to just make sure that we're not using that painting technique, but more of a guiding. We're using the belly of our brush, the tip of our brush, to kind of guide the acrylic. We're not so heavy-handed and go and painting down with our acrylic brush.
When picking up your bead, you don't want to immediately place the bead and just start brushing. We don't want to brush because you see how all of that bead that we just placed down is being brushed away. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is take our bead, count, place the bead down, and then just simply use the tip of the brush and again holding the hand down. And you see how when I place that bead, all the acrylic is staying and I'm just kind of teetering it off.
Mistake number two, not letting your acrylic set long enough. So I find that, I notice when I watch a lot of students, they always feel the need that they have to do something with the acrylic. They place the bead on and they immediately, again, start painting or doing something. You just have to relax. Acrylic will naturally run down on the nail, especially if you're holding the finger down. So we're gonna pick up our bead, count to about 2 or 3 seconds, place that bead on, again, count to about 2 or 3 seconds, and then we're gonna just guide it. It's gonna start to run to the side, we're gonna push it back in the middle, we're gonna guide it down the end to the free edge of the nail. We don't have to always be doing something with it. A lot of times, and especially depending on the acrylic that you're using, if it's a slower setting or odorless product, let's say, they take longer to set up. So you don't have to mess with it. Just because you have a brush in your hand and there's acrylic on the nail, it doesn't mean that you have to be doing something all the time. A lot of the times, it's gonna do a lot of the work on its own and you're just there to simply guide the acrylic to make sure it's going in the right direction and laying and setting in the right areas.
So we don't want to pick up our bead, place it down, and again, if we're still using that painting method, we're working really fast and we're painting it down. So we don't want to do that. Again, we're going to be guiding the acrylic. So we want to take a bead and place it right on the nail. And then I'm just going to let the acrylic do its thing. Now I'm going to use my brush, bringing it on the side, and I'm just guiding it. It will fall as we teeter it still. We're still not painting. All we're gonna do is guide it, use the belly of the brush to flatten it out. And then if we're gonna take another bead, place that, and then just guide it. We're gonna just blend it in backwards. And that acrylic, it's still setting, it'll still fall. So we don't need to mess with it so much. Let it do its thing.
Number three, this is a very popular one. I find that a lot of people that are into nails, they're on YouTube watching videos, they're looking at their own nail technicians if they don't do their own nails. And they're using a lot of tools that they just see people using. So I had a student the other week, shout out to her because I'm gonna just talk about her for a second. And we're doing a one-on-one session and she's using this big, flat, wide acrylic brush. So I said to her, why do you use that brush? And I love, this is my favorite question to ask students. Why do you use what you're doing? Why do you use what you're using? Why do you do what you do? So she goes, that's just what I see them use in the nail salon. I say, but what works for you? So I had her switch out her brush to a smaller brush and her work came out better actually, in my opinion. She kind of agreed that it was a little bit easier to work with. she made it harder. I said, you're making it harder on yourself by using a bigger brush. Because one, now your liquid to powder ratios are off. Bigger brushes hold more liquid. If you are not advanced, this is something that's going to actually set you back. It's going to also get a lot of liquid on your client than the surrounding skin, which is what we don't want for our clients. And it's just, you're not there yet. So you have to learn, if you're gonna be using a certain brush, why do you use this brush? Don't ever use anything just because you see a tech, they gave it to you, they offered it to you, they suggest it, but what works for you? Because everything doesn't work for everybody. For many years, I was using a big brush. And you guys know now that I use the Young Nails brush, which was a lot smaller. But let me tell you, it made the sculpting so much easier. And me being advanced, I was thinking, wow, I'm gonna go down to a small brush. It's gonna take me forever to do a nail. It actually made me move quicker. It actually let me file less because now my application was close to perfection. So I didn't have to really file that much. So sometimes we have to switch out our tools and make sure that we're using what works for us, what's gonna get the job done, not what I see other people using.
So when using a big brush like this is going to hold a lot of liquid. What people tend to do is take their bead and then they place it down, and look how much acrylic comes out. So if you are an advanced nail technician, that could work for you, but it's very big, it's very wet, it's going to move very quickly, and all this that I have, all the liquid that I have to put onto the nail, you see how it's getting on the client's finger and on the sidewall. We don't want to do that. So let's switch this out for a smaller pointed oval shaped brush. When I do that, I'm going to pick up a bead and you will immediately see that acrylic fall right into the cuticle nicely. You see how because it's pointed, it gave me the shape that I already needed. And I'm just going to guide it on the sides. And what's nice about a pointed brush for somebody that's beginning is that you're able to kind of use that point to your advantage and be able to focus the acrylic where you need it to go. So I can just use it to pat it down. If I need to move a little bit of acrylic here or a little bit there, you see I can just use the point. If I had a big flat wide brush like the one I just previously used, it's a lot harder to do that.
Number 4, high expectations. You are a new nail technician. And I don't want to say this to be mean or blunt, but everyone sucks at the beginning of anything. You have to practice. I find that a lot of people, they have their practice hands, they're practicing, and they're like, this looks horrible, this looks horrible. And what I always say to students, okay, maybe so or not, but how are you gonna fix it? Because you have to learn from your mistakes. Don't have these high expectations that my application needs to be flawless. I'm gonna lay this acrylic down. I don't have to file that much at all. It's gonna be perfect. It's never perfect. Trust me, I have my moments. Now I've been doing nails for over 15 years. And sometimes I'm in my head thinking about my shopping list or something I wanna watch on TV later. And oops, I made this nail a little too thick. It happens, but I can fix it later on. So don't have such high expectations for yourself, because you set these goals so high that when you don't meet them, it's discouraging and it makes you maybe possibly want to quit. Or you're going to say, I don't want to practice anymore, and you're going to throw it to the side. So kind of lower your expectations down and realize that I am a new nail technician. I'm working, I'm practicing, and I will get better, but don't raise that bar so high for yourself. And also that one bead method, please take it and throw it out the window. I'm so tired of hearing about this one bead method. A one bead method is great to learn, and it can speed it up, but that's not something you want to go for. We want to execute nails so the application looks nice, it's close to perfect. We want to eventually get to that point. It doesn't matter how many beads it takes me to get to that. So I don't do one bead method. If I do, it was honestly by accident because it just worked out. Usually the pinky nail will end up being a one bead method just because it's small and I picked up enough. But if I need 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. You can still pick up your speed. You can still be fast by using however many beads, again, that it takes you, what works for you when you are doing your application. Number 4, again, looking for perfection. They're looking for perfection when you are doing your nails, and nothing is going to be perfect. Again, practice, practice, practice. That's the only way that you're gonna get close to perfect. No one is perfect. I am not perfect. I don't care how long whoever you are watching has been doing nails, you are not perfect. We all have our moments. Sometimes you'll have a couple fingers that'll look like crap. Sometimes you'll have a set that just looks like crap. It just will happen. You know, we have to stop looking for perfection. So don't kill yourself if you don't like the set that you did. Again, the question is, how can you fix it? So practice your application, practice your filing. Think about it as two separate entities. If I can get application down, then I can get filing down, then it'll kind of speed you up in general. If you can't get application, then you better work on your filing a little bit more because you can save it, or vice versa. So don't always look for perfection, especially in the beginning. Number 6, fix your mistakes. A lot of times I see people with their practice hand, they're working on a nail and they say, oh, this looks like crap. I'm gonna skip it, go to the next one. No, again, how can you fix it? We have to learn from our mistakes, because if that mannequin hand, always think about your mannequin hand. If that is a real person, you cannot say, you know what, that pinky nail looks horrible. Just soak that off and I'm gonna continue. That doesn't happen in the real world. In the real world, she's gonna look at you and say, you need to fix this. So learn how to fix your mistakes. If you have an ugly nail that you did and the application sucks, or you filed a little too much, or you do, how would we fix this in real time? So don't just throw that nail to the side and just start over on the next finger. Go back and fix that nail and you have a nice complete set when you're done. Number 7, practice everything across the board. Again, using the mannequin hand, a lot of students and new nail techs tend to only practice on doing full sets. So I'm gonna show you right now how we can create a fill-in on our mannequin hand so we can practice doing a fill-in. So we wanna make sure we're practicing not only your full sets, but your fill-ins as well. Because most likely you're probably gonna get more fills in your nail career than you will full sets. That's just how it is. You want more fill-ins than full sets. Yes, full sets are more money, but they're more work and more people are keeping their nails on. So you wanna make sure we can fill that, especially if you are filling somebody else's work. We have some nail techs that don't do that. Whatever, but you have to learn how to do a fill-in. So practice everything. Don't just practice full sets. We got to practice everything across the board. Practice a whole set, then practice cutting down and changing the shape, and then practice filling it in and then changing the shape. Try to give yourself different scenarios of real life problems that you might come across when you start working on people, so you can be ready and practice on everything. And also your polishing, we want to make sure that we have complete set. So if I have my practice hand out, I'm practicing, I'm gonna do a whole set, I'm gonna polish it, I'm gonna do everything. We're gonna do complete set. So don't just practice a finger or two here and there. We wanna make sure we're executing this as if it was a real person.
So to create a fill-in on the mannequin, we're gonna do exactly what you always normally would do. We're just gonna start it a little bit past the cuticle. The cuticle will be that little bump that you see on your mannequin fingers. So we're just gonna start it a little bit outwards as if this person has a fill-in, and you'll just sculpt the nail like normal. And then when that sets, you can go back and then fill it, or you can practice that set like that and then go back and fill it later on for a different sitting. It's up to you, but this is how we would just create a filling so we can begin practicing on all different types of scenarios on our mannequin hands.
Number 8, a lot of new nail techs, I feel like they're scared to file. So, and I'm talking hand files here, people. So you can't be scared to file. I'm gonna show you a couple ways that you can kind of protect your client if you are a little hesitant to filing. We should be using the correct files. I do have a video on nail filing, so I will leave a link to that above, and you can go check that out separately. But don't be scared to file. You can file the nail. You have to, again, sometimes be a little bit aggressive with the nail or the filing, depending on what you're doing and your shaping, but don't kind of hit the nail like you're scared of it. You have to take control. Your file is everything, just like our e-file is in our hand, our acrylic brush, our nail file is another tool that we need. So don't be so scared to file the nail. And also get familiar with files, because you can do so much more, especially as a new nail tech. People tend to jump to e-filing. E-file, trust me, it's great, it's a game changer. However, it goes very quickly. So if you practice with your hand filing, you will use your e-file less. You have more control with your hand files. And as you know, in school, students aren't allowed to use the e-file. Well, in my school, my students weren't allowed to. And at the end of the course, they always tell me, Miss Keisha, you know what? I actually like hand filing a lot more. And I say, I told you so, because you have more control over it. It's not like, oops, I took too much off the edge. You have control over what you're doing. So get familiar with your hand files. Don't be scared to kind of take control of that nail and file it how you need it to.
So we don't want to take our files and do this. We don't want to be scared of the nail. She looks scared filing this nail. So we don't want to be so gentle. Remember, they do have enhancements. They can tolerate it. And I understand if you're a little scared, sometimes you'll go a little bit slower. What we want to do is make sure we are holding that finger. And you see how my finger is here? It's holding down the false nail so that she's not really feeling it jerk too much. We're going to hold the finger down so I can keep a nice sharp edge. If you feel that you are scared, you're going to cut your client, place your finger on top of their cuticle. Use your finger to block the file. So if anybody's going to get cut, yes, it should be you. So I'm going to hold back the skin on the sides. I'm going to hold the side of the nail to make sure that I'm feeling it more than she is, but I'm still able to shape the nail. So just protect their finger, and you can go a little bit faster.
And lastly, don't be scared of your e-file as well. A lot of times, new nail techs tend to skip on the nail. And I'm gonna show you in a minute what that looks like. But they tend to skip on the nail. So one, we don't wanna skip on the nail just because we're scared of it a little bit, or I'm a little close to the cuticle, so I wanna go like baby steps. One, that's going to create dents and grooves into your nails. So we don't want to do that. We want to work in a steady back and forth or up and down motion. We don't want to skip on the nail. So don't be scared, especially if you have sharp bits, you're using carbon bits, for example. Don't be so scared. And also if you are a little hesitant with the type of bit that you have, use it on yourself. There's a bit that I have, the, Young Nails Turbo bit. That bit is intense. I've talked about it before in my e-files video. I will leave a link above if you want to check that out. That bit is no joke. It's very sharp. And I'm going to tell you, I was scared to use it on my clients. And I used it on myself probably for about a month or two before I even to use it on a client, because I had to wear it in. So if you have a bit like that and you like, this is really sharp, but it's a good bit, wear it down on yourself or use it on your mannequin hand before you use it on someone else. But you want to make sure you have control and you're not scared of that e-file, because again, we're filing now at 5 times the speed we would of a hand file. So you want to make sure you're gripping it and you have it in control.
So when e-filing, you don't want to skip like this. This will create dents and grooves into the nail that we don't want. So doing this is actually causing more work for you and making the nail uneven. You want to use your e-file left and right or up and down in a smooth motion. This is going to give you a nice even nail when you are filing. Again, if you are scared that you might cut them, protect their cuticle and block with your finger. When you're by the cuticle area, you do want to go a little bit slower, but again, not in a skipping motion. We're just going to lightly go, but still in a nice even pace.
If you are looking for some products to get and you happen to be on my website, Keishanails.com, I have a whole section for new nail techs and products that I recommend. These are products that my students have used, I have used, I recommend, I suggest. I use them with my one-on-one. The setting time is really good for beginner nail tech. So you can go ahead and go to my website and check that out if you are looking for any products to practice on your mannequin hand or to practice on friends and family with in the beginning stages of your nail career. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.